Theology on Tap. I want you to look at the person next to you and say, I'm so glad you came. I want you to look at the person on the other side of you and give them a high five and say, I'm so glad you came. Even though your breath is all stanky, you smell bad, I love you anyway. God bless you. Tell them all of that. We're here with Theology on Tap, and we have a really fun show today. The name of the title of the show today is The Role of Women in the Church. Can I get an amen? Amen. To give us that presentation today, it's my honor, and I'm so blessed just to introduce Sister Jane Ann Slater. I'm going to go ahead and read a small bio and just talk a little bit about our last conversation that we just had. Sister Jane Ann Slater has been a Sister of Divine Providence for over 60 years. She's an educator by profession, having taught in elementary, high school, and university. Her favorite teaching field is chemistry, and she holds a doctorate in organic chemistry. Inorganic chemistry. There were two N's right next to one another. There's no room in the N. Okay. In inorganic chemistry from the University of Colorado at Boulder. She spent 11 years on the chemistry faculty at Our Lady of the Lake University. Sister Jane Ann served 18 years in leadership in the Congregation of Divine Providence, 12 of those years as General Superior. She was a Director of Studies at Assumption Seminary for 2 years. Her service in the civic community includes 10 years on the SAWS Citizen Advisory Panel. Are we still getting charged the same for choir?
No, a little more.
A little more? Okay, perfect. Good to know. For 5 years as the chair. She is currently on the boards of Oblate School of Theology, Assumption Seminary, Mexican American Catholic College, and Merced Housing, Texas. She served as president of Our Lady of the Lake University for 2.5 years, completing her presidency in mid-July 2015. She is currently the Chancellor of the Archdiocese of San Antonio, a position she has held since August 2015. And I can tell you just by meeting her and talking to her today, she is a wonderful, amazing soul. So thank you. Give it up for Sister Jane Ann Slater.
Like that, one appropriate thing, in addition to saying thank you, is you're so perceptive. So perceptive. I'm really happy to be here, and I have to say that I really didn't choose this topic. I was a little squeamish about it, but it was suggested that I might want to think about this. So I did for about 2 seconds, and I said yes. This is the topic we really need to be talking about today. And there was an email I got today that said that it was from an editorial group, and it said, knock, knock, who's there? Half of the Catholic Church. Who are they? Women. We are knocking at the door. So, I'm not going to get terribly controversial, and I want to tell you what I'm not going to talk about. I'm not talking about ordination, so know that at the outset, okay? That's not on the topic. But I will be talking about how did we get here? You know, how did we get in this place in reality? Because this is a topic of women in church and society is a really crucial topic all over, and it's more and more on conversations. And you know, when it usually comes up, it comes up when there's a problem, like someone didn't get hired, or someone got fired, or someone was passed over, and that's real. I mean, that happens to other people as well, not just women. It happens to Hispanics and people, blacks, African Americans. It happens, you know, Orientals. It happens women. So being excluded or being passed over is a reality that we have experienced, and it's something that we know needs to be dealt with openly. And you're probably aware that right now there's a synod going on in Rome of bishops. It's a synod, you know, is something that deals with a topic of interest or importance, and the topic is youth and young adults. And there are about 200 or plus bishops there. There are some young adults present. There are a few women religious present. and some brothers, and I'm not sure who all else is there. And the women religious who are there, the sisters, I don't know about the young adults, but they are not allowed to vote. But the brothers are allowed to vote. Now that's very interesting. So this problem prompted the two international organizations of religious, the Union of Superiors General, which represents about 185 priests and brothers around the world, and the International Union of Superiors General, which represents women religious, about 600,000 women religious around the world. They are preparing a proposal to present to the Pope that women be allowed to vote. If they're there and they're able to speak, then they ought to be able to vote. They questioned one of the organizers of the Synod, and I know they didn't name the person, and this brother said, why are the sisters not able to vote? And the response was, they are not ordained. Well, neither are brothers ordained. Vatican Council II said, religious brothers or laity, religious sisters are members of the laity. So we are all in this together. We are laity. There are no priests here. There are no deacons. I don't know. Is there a deacon? No deacons here. So we are laity, and we are the church. And women represent over 50% of that church. And who's present on Sundays? In great majority, women. So this is something that needs to be dealt with. So I thought, where am I going to go to get some good, solid topics that, this is theology on tap. This isn't opinions on tap. I have a jillion opinions. Sister Anita is one member of my community. She's over there. She knows I have opinions on everything, and I'm free to give them. I'm free to give them. This is not opinion. This is really based in St. Pope John Paul II. I'm going to refer to him as John Paul II most of the time tonight, but I know he's a saint, and he is an important person was an important person in our church in the past and continues to influence. In 1988, he released a document, an apostolic letter called Mulieris Dignitatem, on the dignity and vocation of women. And at that time, this was 1987, and I picked up that letter and read it and digested it and did some talks on it around the city at that time to women's groups and other groups. So I thought, I'm going back to that letter because it has good scripture, good theology, and it's solid. And I know that young people related extremely closely with John Paul II, and so this is a good place to start. He started his apostolic letter with a quote, and I'm going to read that quote. He says, this was one of the last statements of Vatican Council II. And the quote is, "The hour is coming, in fact has come, when the vocation of women is being acknowledged in its fullness. The hour in which women acquire in the world an influence, an effect, and a power never hitherto achieved. That is why at this moment, when the human race is undergoing so deep a transformation, women imbued with the spirit of the gospel can do so much to aid humanity in not falling." This was 1988, 30 years ago. So, Vatican Council had spoken in many documents, two of which were the document on the church, Lumen Gentium, and another document on the apostolate, the decree on the apostolate of the laity. And a conversation has been going on. The statements have been made. However, it is my humble opinion, here's an opinion, that very little has been done to implement or to take that a step further, so to really make the contributions that women can make able to be done, able to be implemented. So, I want to commend Archbishop Gustavo for choosing to have a woman chancellor in this archdiocese. And I am quite privileged and quite humbled to hold that position. Now, that being said, and I'm grateful, and I do what I do, and I do what I can do. I'm one person, okay? Sister Elizabeth A. Vasquez is the director of the Office of Religious, and she and I work together, and she does what she can do, and we collaborate as much as we can. Frequently, following this appointment, and even today, both men and women will comment to me how happy they are with the Archbishop's naming a woman as chancellor. Now, why is this so out of the ordinary? Why does this require a response? So what I want to do is go back and see how this might have happened, okay? So here's where the scripture comes in. So bear with me, because I want to trace from the beginning of creation. It's not going to be long. It'll only take about 4 hours. We have in the beginning, I want to go. This is from John Paul II's apostolic letter on women. He starts speaking right at the beginning on woman and man created by God as the unity of the two. Keep that in mind, the unity of the two. God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Now, I want you to do what the church has always done. I want you to read when it created man, it's the universal, is it not? We're supposed to read all the readings and say that means women and men, doesn't it? So keep that in mind. God created man, two of them, in his own image. In his image, God created him. God created them. So that's Genesis 1:27. So together, individually and together, we image God. That's the key. We image God. God coming from his communion within the Trinity. So we don't understand the Trinity, but we know that those three persons live in absolute, incredible, loving harmony. And God looked at Adam and said, it is not good. We are together. It is not good for the man to be alone. So he created Eve. He created them in his own image. So it is in the unity of the two that God said, you exist in the unity of the two. Keep that in your mind. Their common humanity. It is in the unity of the two, in their common humanity, that the man and woman are called to live in a communion of love, and in this way to mirror in the world the communion of love that is in God, the Trinity. Now that is so powerful. This is in the beginning. So God created these two people in a unity with himself and said, care for the earth. I'm not using a word that's in the scripture. It's a translation. And, the scripture wasn't written in English. It really wasn't. It's translated from Greek, Aramaic, whatever. Whatever it says, be dominant over it. Dominate the earth. Well, we don't like that. That's not a good word. but care for the earth. And he said, so they were to do this together because together they image God and derive their dignity and vocation from their common beginning, in the beginning. Also, this image and likeness of God, which is essential for the human being, is passed on by the man and woman to their children as spouse and parent. Together, they pass on this image of God. The creation of the human was a special gift from God, from the Creator, containing not only the foundation and source of the essential dignity of the human being, man and woman, in the created world, but also the beginning of the call for both of them to share in the intimate life of God himself. That's what God envisioned for Adam and Eve. They would have perpetual joy, happiness in living in God's own image and being loved. Well, what happened? Well, we know that sin happened. The fall happened. And the original relationships of the man and woman with each other, and the man and woman with nature and the earth, and the relationship of the man and woman with God was damaged. So the unity of the two was, in its perfect gift of self between the two, was fractured somewhat. And the language that describes this is really jarring. The fall from grace is symbolized in the eating of the apple. Okay? The forbidden fruit. Ron Rolheiser said they took what God did not offer them. They took it without being, first they were told not to take it, but they took it. And that is absolutely, that's stealing, the worst form of theft. And Ron actually says it's of the nature of rape, taking what you don't have a right to. That is so jarring, and so terrible. So by sin, the human negated God as the creator. We want to know what is good and what is evil. We want to know that. And they wanted to be able to say, instead of God, they wanted to be able to say, we know better than you. We know what is good and what is evil because we will have experienced it. Well, didn't they know what was evil? They experienced it. They had an experience of it. They knew what it was. So there's more. So the story of the fall presents, from the point of view of women, presents Eve as the one who led Adam into sin. It's all her fault. This language has been carried down throughout history in placing all the blame on her. St. Paul, in his letter to Timothy, says the following: For Adam was formed first, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman who deceived and became the transgressor. It's her fault. Okay? Now I know the scriptures are inspired, but who knows who translated it? And who knows, who knows how the nuances get put? But the seed is planted, okay? Then it goes on to say, even though at the beginning there was the unity of the two, living in the image and likeness of God, the two of them, it was the sin of both of them. Not one more than the other, but they are united and they sin together. So, what happened? Well, there was a disturbance in the relationship. And the quote is, to the couple, to Eve, your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you. Instead of the man and woman giving freely of their gift of self to each other, the woman appears to be the lesser of the two. Pope John Paul tries to reconcile this Genesis story, and he does a lot of. I couldn't follow it. I'm sorry. I couldn't follow all the things he was doing, but he really tried. And that has been what has been going on within documents from the church all along. They are trying to reconcile this so that women are not relegated to a lesser state, but it's not working. It isn't working. It has not worked. Structures and systems are in place in both society and the church that keep women in a lesser role. We know that. It's experientially, we know that. So that brings us to today and the continuing lesser role of women in church and society. So women are seen as less intelligent, less effective, less skilled, having fewer abilities. People won't say that, but there's an attitude. In short, they need to be directed and guided by men. Okay. And so, it's true in society. And this is an opinion. I want to interject those. This is all from John Paul II. When women make a statement that's a little bit difficult or draw a conclusion that might be a little touchy. Well, she's so pushy. She's so assertive. She's well, it's and who says that? It's not usually other women. It's men who say that because we're the ones in charge, and it's a threat. So this is my opinion, so I'm saying it. So if we look at folks who wrote the history for many, many centuries, not only the scriptures, I don't know who wrote the scriptures, but it was probably people who could read and write. It had to be. And that most probably was men from the Jewish tradition or whatever who were trained in the temple. So probably true. And throughout history, the people who were educated, who were out and about, were usually men, historians, so they probably wrote the history. And we know from what goes on in the Texas Board of Education how difficult it is to get a textbook that is really honest according to all of the cultures. So this is not just the church. This is the way we're flawed. That original fall left us all flawed. And it shows up, it continues to show up. So, why is it important? Why am I even doing this? Why? I gotta look at my watch here. Why is it important, later than I thought, for women to be in roles where decisions are made? Well, a lot of people say it's because there's a complementarity between men and women. And women are generous and gentle, and mothers and nurturing, and men are rational and rational thinkers, and they are able to make decisions. They're firm. I don't agree with the complementary thing. I'm sorry. I just don't agree. We have 100% of people created by God. And all of us, each one of us has gifts. The gifts are not, there are men who are gentle and caring and nurturing. Hopefully if you're married or if you have a boyfriend, or you're that, your boyfriend is that. And women can also think, and we can make decisions. So it's why would we why would the church and a lot of people in society allow half of the population make all of the decisions, do all of the thinking? It makes no sense. That's saying half of the human race is not qualified to think critically and logically. sometimes I'm in a meeting with all men, I feel free. You know, at my age, I've been around a long time. At my age, I'm not on a career ladder. I'm not working for a promotion. I do what I do. And I don't have an agenda. But if a topic comes up in which I think I have something to say, then I feel free to make that statement. And each of us comes from a background that forms how our personality, I don't think, is formed by our backgrounds, but sometimes our behaviors are. And I think that sometimes people, depending, I see things from the positive side. I'm a positive person. Other people might be a bit cynical, or other people may be more legalistic. So in a conversation in which a decision is going to be made, I'm wandering all over here and I'm not supposed to. I'm sorry. A decision needs to be made. I might think in my head, I wonder how this is going to affect so-and-so. And I wonder how we can say this that will be positive, not a lose-lose, but will be considered to be kind of a win-win. Or I wonder if there's something we could do, else we could do that might impact this. So I'm asking those questions, and they don't come from my being a woman. They come from my being a person who is able to think. It comes from the unity of the two. It comes from that whole thing of our being together. We help one another because of who we are, and our experiences and what we know. So where are we now? Like I said, lots of talk, very little action. Why should we, when there's talk about needing to address the dignity and role of women? Well, the dignity and the role of women. Is there a role for women, or are there any roles depending on needs and circumstances and situations? Who will decide what this role is? Are these roles are? Will women be involved, or will the decisions be made by a group of bishops and other men talking about women rather than to us? Women are by nature mothers and peacemakers. Well, is there a need in this world today for peacemakers? Should women be at the table? Why continue to have meetings to discuss young adults and youth without having many young adults and youth contributing to the conversation and able to vote on the outcomes? Why invite only a few women and relegate them to the realm of watchers? They may be able to discuss but not vote. Why not open the way for women to preach? Why can't we preach at liturgy? What is the problem with that? We cannot continue to be in a row of tokens. We have a woman. That's what very often. We have a woman in this office. We have a woman over there in the Vatican. The Holy Father says that as well. We have a woman in this office. And it all comes from whatever. So if Mary was able to give us Jesus, why are other women less able to make decisions about how Jesus is presented to the world today? Look who was present at the cross. 3 women died. The Samaritan woman was the first person to call Jesus the Messiah. Mary Magdalene was the first to announce the resurrection. That seemed to have been okay. Jesus did allow that. So, over the past 50 years, things have been done. St. Teresa of Avila, St. Teresa of the Child Jesus, St. Catherine of Siena were named doctors of the church after the death. Although St. Catherine of Siena did have a huge impact on one of the popes, Gregory the 11th. If the contributions of these women have been noted after their deaths, I feel that quite sure that there are women today whose wisdom and gifts could be significant now. Will those within the church who can make this happen do so? Or is the system too locked in on the status quo? So I think it's time for some major conversations named and making major changes in the way our church makes decisions. Women must be involved in the process from the beginning and at all levels and in numbers, not in ones and twos. Women must be involved. We can no longer believe that the thinking of those who represent only half of our church's population can speak for all of us. Doesn't that make sense? If we're going to spend time articulating the dignity and role of women, then let's give equal time to articulating the dignity and role of men. If we're going to start the focus from motherhood and nurturing, let's start from fatherhood and nurturing. And let's articulate the role from that and then move out. There is so much that we can learn from one another, men and women. Let's not continue to waste valuable time around trying to define one another's dignity and roles, but rather see how we can bring all of our gifts together and collaborate as missionary disciples in the new evangelization based in encounter and accompaniment. There's too much at stake, too much to lose, and there's not much time. Thank you.
That was really special. Thank you so much for doing that. I think we have a little bit of time for question and answer. So you have these on your tables. This is a way to text in your questions to Sister. Sister does have her iPad up here.
Technology.
So they will come up here and you're able to take them as you will. We can also walk around and we have a microphone so you can also ask your questions out loud, however you feel comfortable. I'm sure we'd be happy to hear from you. So whichever way, we go ahead and start taking some of those questions, either by iPad or by out loud. You decide.
Or comments.
Or comments.
Sister, thank you for coming here today. I just recently moved down to San Antonio, maybe about 3 months ago. And as someone who, in my previous position, was working in an infantry battalion with the Army, was the sole female person on staff, still working for the military, I really wanted to embrace, because I've heard more conversations about women taking on leadership roles and embracing like our unique gifts that we can bring to the church. How in our local parishes can we really step into those positions and really start those conversations about restoring our church and healing our church and really kind of guiding those conversations?
Thank you. There are many opportunities in churches. You know, one thing we have to do is get known. We have to introduce ourselves, get involved in something. And it might not be a leadership role at the very beginning, but you know, we learn. I'm sure there's always a need for this: teaching religious ed, or belonging to a group that reaches out to the homebound, or maybe there's a young adult group in your parish, and so you meet with them. Or just there's so many, there are opportunities that you become involved in some way. And then from that, there's an opportunity, as you kind of get known, then you can say, well, you know, do we have a parish pastoral council here, advisors to the pastors? They're supposed to have them. And you could say, when we're ready to elect someone, I would be very interested in being available for that. And that's leadership. And then there are opportunities from that to get involved at the diocesan level. So I think it's really it's really the culture of encounter. It's meeting the pastor or the leader of whoever directs religious ed, and investing. It takes time and a commitment, but it's the way to become known and possibly then drawn into, invited into leadership. There's one that's just part of a thing. I'm not sure what it is, but As a young adult woman, there is a constant struggle in today's society idea of feminism. What feminism within the church? What is feminism within the church? Does it support dignity? You know, feminism is an ism. And if feminism is, you know, is there masculinism? I don't know. But that would be another question. What is that? Be kind of, you know, being proud of who you are. Feminism can be looked at as an ideology. It came from, I think at the beginning, a sense of wanting to be accepted for who I am as a person who happens to be a female person, a woman person. And as is the case of, and when that happens, then, and it's thwarted, then people very often go further and get sucked into being more militant and whatever. So feminism, I think, probably by way of identifying myself and my womanhood is a good thing. Does it support dignity? If it doesn't, it originally did. It supports the dignity of women. And but I think ideologies can really lead in directions that we don't know. So perhaps my identity as a woman would be a way of speaking about that, and my identity, my feminine identity would be a way. And I think that's what feminism started being, and then in some instances it's become an ideology. But I don't think it's disrespectful. But I'll tell you, when I was working at the seminary, you know, it's a male world for sure, and the seminarians had kind of antennas out for feminism. You know, and you'd get a raised eyebrow. And I remember one, and I love this story. There was one fellow from El Salvador, and one of the things I did at the seminary was correct their papers for grammar and spelling. Imagine being from another country and writing a paper in English for a master's, you know, in theology, an MDiv. So Oblate was great with my doing that. And so this one fellow came in, Roberto, and he sat down. We were going through the paper. He sent it to me. Well, I guess I had the written copies. And he had said, the church, he blah, blah, blah. And I said, Roberto, I think you mean the church, she. Eyebrow goes up. Give him this look. And I said, no. Don't we talk about Holy Mother Church? The church is the bride of Christ. Oh, you're right. Okay. But the first impulse that's feminism. You know, that's, you're coming out of, and I don't know if you've experienced, but I bet women have. It's okay, but we don't say, you know, when somebody says something really, when a guy says something really masculine, we don't take offense. But when a woman comes out from the point of view of womanhood, it's not as good. Let's see. There's a quote here that says, "Of women or take away from it." Maybe that had to do with feminism. I'm not sure. It's all by itself. Anybody else? Question? Yes.
What is your role and support in the Archdiocese for women that are interested in leadership?
My role?
And your support for women in the community, in the church community, to get more involved and grow in leadership. Do you have a role in the Archdiocese?
My role in the Archdiocese is really eclectic. The main responsibility of the chancellor is to make sure that official documents are signed and sealed as necessary, and are saved and preserved, you know, for posterity, and are archived. So that's my main role. However, the Archbishop has asked me to be the liaison to apostolic groups in the Archdiocese. So I do that. I am the liaison to the Archdiocesan Pastoral Council. So your question, my reference to pastoral councils in the parish comes from that. And it's an advisory group to the Archbishop. I would say directly, I would not have a role in leadership, but that could be something that that could be looked at. That's a great idea. That's something I would never have thought of to do. And we're looking at in music, the Mexican American Catholic College as an academy, as Peter Dutram is back there, and he's going to be running that. And we're going to be doing leadership training. So that, leave me your name before you leave it. We'll get in touch with you, because I think that's an opportunity. And we plan with the leadership, the training of the laity in leadership is one of the visions of the Archdiocese. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I started last year, in School of Theology to go and to get involved in pastoral ministry. To obtain a certificate. And I was going to follow up this next semester with practicum that they give you, and then they honor you a certificate to complete. I did get a scholarship from the Archdiocese and from the parish. What I have realized, there's a lot to learn.
Yes.
And sometimes it's a very short period of time to learn so much material.
Yes.
And I've been kind of doing a little bit of indicating more information about leadership. And there's several parishes that do have programs where they integrate men or women into leadership, but they're a series of volumes, and they're probably more than a year or 2 or 3 years to complete. And they're trying to implement it to the Archdiocese so they could then get more
People involved.
more involved and more prepared to get in something more serious into leadership within emphases and working for the Archdiocese or for a church.
Okay, I want you to stand up, and Peter would like you to stand up, and I want you to see each other, and they all should talk. Could you stand up so he can see you too? Okay, y'all need to connect. That's great. So thank you. Yeah. No other communications. Yes, there's one.
What if they're and pastors are very set in tradition? If they don't want to be told what to do by a woman?
That is a problem. That is a reality. And, perhaps a way to, remember the story in Scripture of the woman that kept knocking, the older woman who kept knocking at the judge's door, and he finally said, she's working me out with her perseverance, and I'm just going to give in to her. I think sometimes setting up a meeting and saying, can we talk about this? And here's an idea, and could we, and then maybe have other people do it. I just think, and I use this all the time, there's a statement in education that really makes sense to me. If you're a teacher, you never expect a student to do anything that you haven't taught him or her. You can't say to a 5th grade student, you learned long division last year, so you should be able to do that. No. If this problem calls for long division, you reteach it for that student and maybe for others. So sometimes priests, all of us, are expected to do things, and we don't know we're supposed to do it. But if someone tells us, then in an idea, sometimes it makes a difference. So I think we women have to do a lot of teaching, and we have to do it with strength and conviction and tact. Tact. And I don't mean that we have to be subservient, but we can't be angry. We can't do it out of anger's good if we get emotion, if we get passion from it, but it can't be, death dealing. It's got to be positive. So that passion for this, Father, this is really, really a good idea. Can we talk about it a little more? I'll bring some other women and we can explore this together. Could you? So I think teaching is something you have to do as well. I don't have a solution other than, yes. Gina.
I've learned so much from you, not just tonight, but I've learned so much from you through the years listening to you. And you encourage us to speak up with our dignity and speak to pastors or whoever else. What do you have to say to the men in this room as far as this whole issue and who we are as far as what's offered to the church?
Okay, I would say and I know some of the guys here, I don't know all of them, but some of them, and I would say, where are you on being open to having a conversation with me about such and such? I would like to have that conversation. Is this a good time to do that? Or do you need more time to think about that and get prepared? I mean, I don't mean that in a negative way, but the person might say, I really would, let's do this. Let me think about this a little bit more because I need to get some thoughts on this. And I think inviting, are you open? How open are you to this? Can we talk about it? And if we don't agree, can we leave from it challenged and as friends, and then maybe seek another opportunity to explore it further after a little time to process it. So that's one thing. How open are you? And what is your attitude toward, women who work with you, or women whom you supervise, or women in your parish? How do you feel? What are the things? Are there things that I do or we do that anger you, or not anger so much, but put you off? What do I need to do to be more effective in my relationship? Can you help me with that? I think we can invite conversations, but I think we have to. I keep going back to this whole thing of encounter, encuentro, talking to one another, hearing each other's stories, where we're coming from. I just think is crucial, and I think we have to invite people to have those conversations with us. That's just very small, but those are a couple of things. Anybody else with it? Yes.
So instead of changing the
Just a
role,
second. He's coming. It's on his way.
So instead of changing the role of women in the church, why should we not fully embrace what we're already given?
What is that?
So just I don't want to say dignity just because you reared up against it, but as women we just have such a beautiful job and vocation. Why should we change that?
What is that job and vocation?
As mothers, even in our own secular jobs, but why should we try and pretend to be priests? I guess is
Pretend to be priests? I'm not pretending to be priests.
But by implying that women could one day preach at Mass, that kind of...
Preaching at Mass is not being a priest. That's simply sharing the word.
And should we do it in the context of Mass?
Pardon?
Should we preach in the context of Mass? Why can't we preach the gospel outside of Mass?
We can do both.
Okay.
I'm not trying to push a role of ordination. Please, I said it down.
No, I know that.
However, there are women. We have things. We have our own reflection on scriptures, our own study on those that present things in a way that maybe just something different every now and then. Not all the time. Not all the time. gives the homily, or the deacon gives the homily, and the woman gives the reflection. And it's after communion. And who wants another homily after communion? I'm just saying, it's something to be looked at as another way of sharing who we are.
It's an idea, but why should we change the sacred liturgy?
I don't know why we shouldn't. I mean, I don't know. Could it be helpful for the people of God? That's the reason we do everything. Could it be a way of presenting a way of looking at Scripture that is that is people, that will touch people, and maybe awaken in another woman? I think I could teach catechism. I'll never get up to the pulpit. I never would do that, but I can teach catechism. I have something to say. I can learn. I think it's from that point of view. It's just something to question. I'm not pushing it.
No, it's an interesting question. I just think it's a bad idea.
You don't think it's a good one, good answer, pardon, but that's okay. We can agree to disagree.
Fair.
It's good. Yeah. Sister Elizabeth.
I think this might follow her question. Jane Ann, what would you say Pope Francis means by the feminine genius?
I don't think, I know, and I don't think he knows. And that's not derogatory. I think they're groping for trying to get at, women raise families, mothers, and we nurture people, and we can gather people, and we can be peacemakers, and we have gifts. Those are the only gifts. So that's what I mean about in the this encyclical or this letter from John Paul II back in '88. It's all yellow and all marked up. It can't get there. It doesn't get there. And I have a minute. We have a minute left. So I'm saying that's probably not trying to figure it out. Let's just use our gifts together. Yes. There's a question up here.
Well, I was going to say kind of like what she had talked about, but if it's kind of concerning feminism, but with the strengths the church already has. So if our mother is, the new Eve, and she's already been since, her fiat is kind of like in her silent acceptance of God's will. Like I always battle with, she's the prime example, but at the same time, what the world demands is that we speak up louder, we, acknowledge, we get involved. How do you reconcile kind of the example that Our Lady presents, but at the same time, having to live in a secular world, melding both?
I don't think every woman is called to be the spokesperson, and not every woman is called to be a mother. I'm not, and yet I've mothered a lot of students in my teaching days. I think that each of us is called. We have a vocation, and we live that out fully. And I don't think every woman is called to be a spokesperson. But if there should be a time, like Mary, when it came time at the wedding feast, she was out in the public, and she challenged Jesus, take care of this wine problem. Take care of this. She spoke, and that's advocating for a change, and that's recognized as an important step in calling Jesus to the next step. So I think that in some instances, what women can do is call the church or the leadership in the church to another step, of acceptance.
Or what if we also call Our Lady to kind of advocate for us as we try to step into leadership roles, try to advocate more for our voices, for our vote within.
And she helps us to be she's a model for us, and we are who we are in one instance, part of us by virtue of her example. And I'm with you on that. I'm not
No, yeah.
just saying that, and out of that sense of the people of God, Jesus, the whole mystical body, which is all of us, of strengthening that light. We're all part of it. Part of us are not as considered to be as essential a part as others. And by whom? Not by God. Not by Mary. Mary's not saying don't do this. So we have to come to terms with this. This is part of our prayer and our pondering and our reflection. And I think we respond to the call that we get whenever it comes. The call, boom, boom, boom. The call at a moment, and there's a grace for that. So that's what I'm saying. I think we're out of time.
Can y'all please give it up for We thank you so much for bringing the joy of that gospel. Thank you so much for doing this for us. So we're gonna have a break for the rest of the year. No more Theology on Tap, so don't miss your buddy too much. Get their phone numbers, connect with them. That doesn't mean we have other things going on, so definitely go over to the website. Be on the lookout on your social media accounts so we can give you some more information. Other than that, be safe. God bless.